Today I'm going to be going over what is one of the easiest strats in the game and how it netted me around 75 divines profit in a day playing on and off. This strat at its core is a Kalgurin and eagon hunting strategy, however it's my take on it and does not focus on just burning maps, scouting maps like most of these strats do, but rather actually running them. I'm going to be going in depth on stuff that is usually glossed over, such as memory thread tech that you should utilize to get maps that look like these in the background. 15 divines of my profit came from memory threads, which for the little time I spent in them is pretty good. So what's the strat? The main in-map focus are three mechanics. We utilize Kalgurin Scarabs, including Refinement, to farm bars for shipments and farm Svallin. These ores, even without the Gilded Riches Scarab, occasionally drop decent loot, so the time invested into clearing them is, in my opinion, worth it. We run two Ritual Scarab of Selectivenesses, which is, I guess, what separates my version of this strat from others. These scarabs are currently free for 2 chaos and purely works as a way to maximize our profits when we find the nameless altar. We do not run ritual in our maps unless we find that altar at current prices of just under 50 chaos per audience with the king, and the expected chance to find nameless altars being 1 in every 40 maps. It means every now and then you're making over 2 divines profit with just these 2 scarabs added in. Not only that, audience with the kings usually rise pretty drastically later on in the league to 100 chaos, maybe even a bit more like 200, or even sometimes multiple divines, meaning this strategy is sort of future proofed. If I was to run it 2 weeks from now, I probably have profited a lot more. We run out tier 16 dunes. We want to give ourselves a chance to drop fortresses. You kind of want to do that in every strat that isn't run in tier 17s. So running dunes is the best way to do that. These are realistically 1 chaos in bulk and you can just pick them up in your maps to shave that cost off. We run heist on the map device for the consistent profits, although you can run settlers if you want to go all in on the Svallin hunting part of the strat. Ultimately, settlers will lose you money unless you plan on running this for long enough that you can get your Svallin, and heist will make you a decent chunk of consistent change. And now you're probably looking at my inventory and wondering why I have a Domination Scarab of the Terror set up here. And that is simple. With memory threads, there are 2 interactions that you can currently use to make an incredible amount of currency when things line up. It's not common knowledge, but it's cool, so I'm going to share it. You can utilize the map crafting options, have no cost memory altar, and combine it with the improved Labyrinth Trial craft, which you can get from the Shaping the Skies notable on your atlas. Utilizing this craft with that modifier will not consume the craft, even though it's usually a one-time use. This means that you end up getting, right now, an expected value of 40 chaos profit every time you get this setup, although you obviously can't do this every time. In about 12 memory threads, I got the map options have no cost on 10 maps, which in my opinion is a bit unlucky for how common that craft is, but still it netted me an extra 3 divines for, I don't know, 5 minutes of my time, which is pretty good. And now the second sort of tech, I guess, is when you get a memory altar that says final boss drops 3 to 5 additional scarab items, you can combine that with the Domination Scarab of Terrors or the Horn Scarab of Pandemonium, but I went with Terrors, 4 Domination Scarabs and the Domination Mapcraft, and every unique mob spawned through that will drop 3, 4 or 5 scarabs depending on which one you got. The Terror Scarab is much cheaper than previous leagues, likely due to the overall nerfs of ground loot. I'd imagine it's hitting Terrors pretty hard. Throughout the day it fluctuates between 40 and 65 chaos. I bought all of mine for 40 chaos earlier on in the morning, and getting back anywhere from 50 to 80 scarabs for that investment is pretty good, especially this league. And that's essentially how you make the most out of your memory altars. If Terrors end up being too expensive at like 80 chaos plus, then maybe you skip out on that, make a judgment call based on the current market. I'll go over the main Atlas tree and the Atlas tree that I would run for Terrors. The main one is a simple Aegon and Ghost strat. We take Ritual on our tree, but we don't run it unless you see the nameless Ritual altar. You will get around 6 fragments totaling to like 300 chaos at current prices. Again, that might be a lot more later on in the league. We take Heist on our Atlas down here and up here, Again, if you want to go all in on Svallin hunting, you can opt not to run Heist on your map device and run Settlers instead, but you would still take Heist on your Atlas. We take this because the expected value is around 40 chaos for a minute's worth of your time whenever you find an improved trial. You only run these on your map if it says that it awards an improved offering to the goddess. It will say that on the trial itself. We take Settlers nodes to improve our odds of finding Verisium, so we get a Svallin. Down here too, we want to increase the rarity. Up here, I do increase our chances for Bismuth and Crimson. The only reason I do that is because Bismuth and Crimson are quicker to complete than Amber and Orichalcum. You know, Bismuth, you just click it. Crimson, you can sort of kill all the pods straight away. But these ones, you kind of have to wait for the encounter to end. And then obviously we do the whole increasing our odds for the incarnation of Dread, since that is the best fragment. Also a side note, scouting reports are around like 2 to 3 chaos, with the best one being worth 10 chaos, so I just decided to chuck those on. This one is the 10 chaos one. Since there's nothing else that important to take, you can do whatever you want instead of taking these. You can go and get some more of the Eater or the Exarch altars. You can get some, extra rares, map modifier effect, or whatever. I did not want to make the strategy too hard. I wanted to keep it as a very simple and easy, low requirements strat to complete, so I didn't take any map modifier effect or anything like that. As for terrors, since we're just running the map scoured, we really just want to increase the odds for high value scarabs. So we block off all of the cheap scarabs down here. We increase the odds for cartography, ambush, and harbinger up here. Harbinger, right now it's a bit meta, so the scarabs are above average. Depending on when you're watching this, it might have fallen out of meta a bit. So as always, keep an eye on what's good and then block and increase the odds for those accordingly. We increase our odds of getting scarabs by uniques by 200%. This is not going to triple the amount of scarabs you get, but it will net you a couple more here and there. We go all in on red altars, all in on shrines because that will spawn more uniques. We take anything that increases whatever the uniques in our maps drop, and we take these to increase the odds for getting better scarabs. As always, both trees will be in the description. It will always be the definitive version of the trees in the description and docs, since sometimes I make mistakes in my videos, so make sure to always follow the ones down there. And I'll real quickly go over the loot. This is the loot from the 12 terror maps only. That's how many times I found it. It ended up being closer to like 14 divines and scarabs once I had liquidated it, and then minus my investment, it was roughly 10 divines profit for 12 maps, which is pretty good. Obviously, you cannot do this often. I didn't really get that lucky either. No containment scarabs, no catalyzings, nothing like that, including everything, which was around 140 maps of loot, and then plus the 12 maps of terrors. I made roughly 101 divines in total after liquidating it. It says 111 there. This is my liquidation price. My investment was around 5 chaos for the craft, 6 chaos for refinement, 5 for Kalgurans, then 2 for selectiveness. So around 21 chaos invested per map over 140 maps, which is around 22 divines, then around 4 divines for the terror maps. So I roughly profited around 74 divines in the end during a very inefficient day, which for how easy this strategy is at its core is a strat that ran on just out tier 16s, and considering the current state of loot, that is pretty good. As for the breakdown of the expected value you can get for the scarabs you're putting in, almost 7 of my divines came from audience with the kings, which is 5 divines profit for very little time. If we minus the investment on selectiveness scarabs, I think I got a tiny bit lower luck. I maybe on average, if I ran this for another 20 maps, should have gotten another 6 of these fragments, since you should expect it every 40 maps. Again, later on in the league, this could genuinely be 5 times higher, so this is future proofed. If I made this video a month from now, odds are I would have made a lot more money. We made around 17 divines from Heist after liquidating the contracts and the blueprints. Every blueprint that you get will sell and only deception contracts will sell. It's not worth picking up any of these other contracts. So I'll put a little filter in the description that filters out non-deception ones. We essentially profited 11 or so divines from just adding heist to every map. We made a lot of money from the fortresses, which is why we alchor maps. It's why I disagree with just scouring these types of strategies. And tattoo wise, we made around 12 divines. It's a little higher than what is shown here after we liquidated, which means when you take into account the price for Kalguran and Refinement Scarabs, we profited just over 3 divines, which is a low. It's not that much, but it's inherently a Svallin hunting strat, so profiting from Kalguran ores while giving yourself a chance at a 50 divine jackpot currently is very good. A quick FAQ for shipments. You want to send 500k worth of shipments off mix to bars to Gakanu, and when you send Verisium there, it will come back with stacked decks. Otherwise, it will come back with tattoos. When you find a nameless ritual altar, defer all of the boss fragments, and then select Immutable Dogma on your Atlas tree. And for the next couple of maps, run them without selectiveness scarabs and with a ritual scarab of wisps instead. Once you've gotten all of your fragments, unspec Immutable Dogma and start using your selectiveness scarabs again. And that's the video. I wanted to put out a super easy strat that can make good money, since I know a lot of people are struggling right now and hesitant to juice their maps. Also, I wanted to make a good part of this video focused on the cool things that you can do with memory threads, since mostly everyone still treats it as sort of a rush to the fragment and that is it type deal. So hopefully you learned something from this. As always, everything will be in the Google Docs. I'll see if I can get a Maxroll guide up on this soon. The planners will be in the description alongside a filter for filtering out bad contracts, and consider subscribing if you have not.